Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to cut right through all the endless daily headlines and dig into the actual underlying mechanics of Elon Musk's wealth and his overall journey. If you've ever wondered how someone builds that kind of unparalleled financial power, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the real story today. We're talking the incredible risks, the near collapses, and the specific financial engines that built his fortune.
You know, when we see someone at the absolute peak of global wealth, it's incredibly easy to just assume they had the smooth, upward trajectory. But let's completely dismantle that myth right out of the gate. Is Elon Musk an overnight success? The short answer is emphatically no. What we're actually going to look at is a story defined by failure, by intense financial pressure, and by an extraordinary willingness to just keep pushing forward when absolutely everything seemed completely close to total collapse.
Section 1. The Early Hustle. From South Africa to Silicon Valley. To really understand the risk tolerance of the man today, we have to look at where his drive originated. His childhood in Pretoria, South Africa, well, it wasn't an easy one. He faced bullying and pretty difficult family circumstances. But instead of letting that define him, he became intensely determined to build a completely different future for himself. Born in 1971, he was absolutely fascinated by computers, totally self-taught. By age 12, he'd already created and sold a video game called Blaster. Then, at 17, he made his move, leaving South Africa for Canada and eventually making his way to the University of Pennsylvania. He even entered a PhD program at Stanford, but, and here's the crazy part, he dropped out after literally 2 days. Why? Well, the internet was booming, and he firmly believed it could change the world. That belief led him straight to 1995, co-founding Zip2 to provide online city guides. And let me tell you, it wasn't glamorous. Building this company was so intense that just to save on rent, he literally lived and slept right there on the dusty office floor.
$307 million. Yeah, all that extreme frugality and absolute hustle eventually paid off in a massive way when Compaq acquired Zip2 for that staggering amount in 1999. This single acquisition gave Musk his very first millions. I mean, it's an incredible leap in scale, right? Going from sleeping on an office floor to being a multimillionaire in just a few short years. But what you should really take away from this is what he did next. Because instead of just, retiring to a beach somewhere, he did something that would become a defining pattern in his life. He risked it all again.
So he poured a massive portion of his brand new fortune into X.com, which was an internet company that eventually morphed into PayPal. And in 2002, he successfully leveled up again. eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion. Musk's share of this deal gave him a vastly larger fortune. But astonishingly, this was really only the beginning of his ambitions.
Section 2. The Abyss. The 2008 Breaking Point.
Moving away from those early internet wins, Musk set his sights on some unbelievably ambitious goals. We're talking making humanity multiplanetary with SpaceX and completely revolutionizing electric cars with Tesla. But, as you can imagine, ambition on that scale comes with a terrifying price tag. He very quickly found himself in a nightmare scenario. On one side, you've got SpaceX. They had built the Falcon 1 rocket, but things were going disastrously wrong and they were dangerously low on cash. On the other side, developing completely new electric cars for Tesla was wildly expensive, and that company was struggling financially too. By 2008, Musk hit a breaking point. He was facing an impossible, classic Sophie's Choice scenario. How do you divide your dwindling remaining money between two failing companies? Split it and both might die. Give it all to one and the other would almost certainly die.
He had invested so heavily, putting a massive portion of his own personal fortune into SpaceX. And the result? Launch 1 failed. Launch 2 failed. Launch 3 failed. 3 consecutive, totally devastating failures. He was literally watching millions of his own dollars and his personal reputation explode in the atmosphere. The company was basically out of money, and he was entirely on the brink of losing everything he had built since those early days sleeping in the Zip2 office.
But instead of throwing in the towel, he pushed forward with one final, totally desperate attempt. September 28, 2008. The fourth launch of the Falcon 1 rocket successfully reaches orbit. Honestly, it's hard to overstate the magnitude of this exact moment, because they proved they could do it on their absolute last possible attempt. NASA soon awarded SpaceX a major contract. We're talking billions of dollars to transport cargo to the International Space Station. A company that was mere days from absolute bankruptcy had remarkably survived.
Section 3. Rockets, cars, and the wealth engine. And because he didn't give up on Tesla either, Continuing to funnel his money into it during that 2008 crisis, Tesla survived right alongside SpaceX. Following that really intense survival period, both companies didn't just grow, they utterly revolutionized their respective industries. Tesla's electric vehicles gained massive, widespread popularity, completely validating his initial vision. Over at SpaceX, they accomplished something extraordinary by developing reusable rockets. The Falcon 9's ability to actually land and reuse its first stage dramatically changed the entire economics of spaceflight. And from there, the expansion was just aggressive and rapid, pushing into solar power, energy storage, artificial intelligence, and even brain-computer interfaces.
Now here is the absolute core definition you need to remember to understand how someone becomes the richest person on Earth. Extreme wealth comes from equity, not a cash salary. Musk didn't become historically wealthy simply because he was pulling in a massive weekly paycheck from these companies. His fortune was built largely by owning valuable shares in companies whose valuations increased dramatically over time. Because he either founded or invested incredibly heavily in these businesses early on, his ownership stakes were just vast.
During the years 2020 and 2021, that equity mechanic we just talked about truly exploded. Tesla's market value didn't just grow, it hit an unprecedented surge. The financial markets heavily rewarded the company's rapid growth and profitability. And because of that share ownership mechanic, as Tesla's stock price soared, the value of Musk's personal holdings naturally skyrocketed immediately right alongside it, pushing his net worth into a completely new stratosphere.
The ultimate culmination of this incredibly volatile journey happened in January 2021. That's when Elon Musk briefly overtook Jeff Bezos to officially become the world's richest person. Now, of course, that position at the very top fluctuates, right? Tech valuations and stock prices are constantly moving up and down. But regardless of those daily market shifts, the overall transformation is absolutely remarkable. Think about it. It's a complete 180 from the teenager who left South Africa or that young founder sleeping on the dusty floor of the Zip2 office to officially becoming one of the most financially powerful entrepreneurs in human history.
Section 4. The real lesson of risk.
As we've seen today, this is definitely not a story where every single decision worked out perfectly. He faced brutal business disputes, intense criticism, enormous financial risks, and literal periods where absolutely everything almost ended. His journey shows us something much more complicated than just work hard and you'll succeed. Our source material actually sums it up perfectly. It says, he didn't become one of the world's richest people because he never failed. He became extraordinarily successful because he kept taking enormous risks, learning from failures, and building companies around ideas he believed could change the future. He repeatedly placed his own money and his own reputation squarely behind incredibly ambitious ideas. Some worked, some failed. But the constant was that he always continued moving forward.
The sheer mechanics of his wealth are deeply, intrinsically tied to his immense tolerance for failure. He literally risked total financial ruin for the idea of a multiplanetary civilization and a sustainable energy future. So as you look at your own goals, I want you to ask yourself, what ambitious ideas are actually worth risking failure for? Because as we've explored in today's explainer, avoiding failure entirely just isn't the path to extraordinary success. Learning how to survive it and actually push through it, well, that just might be.